Polymer Clay TV. It's Kira, and today I am going to show you how to use really simple tools such as graduated cutters and texture makers to create these two bezels out of polymer clay from beginning to end. So let's get started. Right. So today I am going to use the flower mandalas. I have a set of two graduated cookie cutters, which I'm going to use circles, but I'm also going to show you some other ways of doing this. And I've got some Primo Accents silver polymer clay that's been rolled to a medium thin. It's a number 3 on my pasta machine, which is the third largest setting. And in case you didn't know, Primo does come in these big bricks. So I've got a 1-pound brick of nice new fresh Primo that's nice and soft, and you can find those 1-pound bricks on the internet. And then you might want to try using a tool like this. This is the Sculpey bezel making tool, and what it does is it creates these fun little bezels that you can fill with things. It also has a set that makes the actual bezel that goes in the spot, but I'm not going to use that because I'd rather fill it with something. So I have made a bunch of those, and I have them in gold and silver. Just to show you how it works, I'll show you how to fill these in a little while here. I just wanted to talk for a second about some of the possibilities because there are so many things that you can do here for this project. So I have some Inca Gold metallic rub in a different color. This is a hematite color, which is darker than that silver. And I also have some Pearlex in macro pearl, which is basically a large, almost fine glitter, sparkly white. I have my squirrel hair brush, which I got from Utrecht, which is now Dick Blick. And this is a lovely, it's a watercolor brush, but it's very soft, and it picks up those powders really well, and that's what I prefer to use on a project like this. So these are some ideas for decorating because of the technique that I'm going to show you. And I just want to show you some of the places where I went with this technique. So these are bezels that I am going to fill. And the way I'm going to fill them is with some Pebeo Vitrail, which is a translucent paint. And the reason I like it is because it's going to sink down into the bottom of these designs. And then I will, once the Pebeo is dry, which actually takes some time, so I'm not going to do that project today on camera, but once it's dry, then I would dome over it with some resin. So these are circles, and that's what I'm going to show you how to make today. And you can make this project with other shapes too. So this one is a composite piece that's going to become a bib necklace, and I made it with leaves. So I have a leaf press that I made the impressions with, and I had some graduated cutters in the leaf shape, and then some small circles, and I made some little flowers. But you can stick things together before baking and create a composite shape. And I also have one that I did with ovals. So these are oval shapes done the same way. I'm going to show you in just a minute how to make these bezels. So you can see they are a bezel shape that you can fill. They have a finished edge, and they're deep enough to put some fun stuff inside. So this will also be a bib necklace, and I have to finish the back with a nice sturdy piece of clay that will hold it all together, and then put some hangers. So later on we'll see pictures, probably not on today's show, but on the blog at polymerclaytv.com. I'll post pictures of what those are going to look like when they're done. So let me start off by showing you how simple and fun this basic technique is. I've just got my two pieces of clay. Basically, I rolled it out, and I'm going to cut one aside for the bottom piece and then use one for the bezel. So basically, the first thing I'm going to do is use my smaller cookie cutter and make a hole. So this right here is going to be the hole for the bezel, and then I keep a knitting needle or something around to just pull that centerpiece out. This is it. This is the front, basically, of the bezel. It's this raised edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a design on this using one of my flower mandalas. So I'm just going to press nice and firmly, and you can use whatever texture you want here. Okay, I just happen to really like this set of mandalas. It has some really pretty circular designs, and you can find those at the shop at Polymer Clay TV as well. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to flip it upside down inside of here. Now for this one, I'm going to first use the powder like I was saying before. Okay, so I'm going to use my squirrel hair brush to powder this design with some more of a lighter color, and that way whatever I put over it will pop a little bit more, like whatever color I use. So I'm just going to fill the center of this design with just that little touch of a different color. Okay, and now I can see like the sparklies are down in the hole, so I might want to take some of this darker color just with your finger and highlight the top so that you get a little contrast. Okay, so now the next step here is I'm going to flip this over inside the hole. So I'm taking the design, flipping it over, and I'm not going to be too concerned about whether it's centered because I kind of like the off-center look. I'm just going to place it on here, gently touch it down around the edges, and then peel the whole thing off and flip it over the other way. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this? Now I have a hole. And for the final part, I'm going to put it on the tile where I intend to bake it. That way I will have to move it less. Okay, so now I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and tapped down, and I'm going to center my the larger of the two graduated cutters on the outside rim here, and cut all the way through all the layers, give it a twist, and pull away the extra. See how easy that was? And it's so pretty. I just love it. I love how these come out. And now they are ready to just bake and decorate. And you can do anything you want inside the bezel, because if you have rubber stamps, texture tools, you want to do something of your own with maybe your leather stampers or any other types of tools that you have lying around that you can impart a texture with. You know, even the leaves, you could do natural leaves. You can do anything that you want to create this bezel shape, and all you need is a texture for the background and two graduated cutters. So now I'm just going to go bake these. Let's fill some bezels, and I'm going to use Pebeo stuff today just because I'm preparing samples to go teach at a big craft event, and this happens to be what I need to use. You could use liquid clay with alcohol ink in it and get similar results, because I'm going for the translucent effect. So I have some glitter medium because I am a glitter girl, and I have lightning medium because you may notice that some of these colors are rather dark and I want to be able to see the textures that I have going on down in the bottoms here. So for this one, for example, I'll start with a few drops of lightning medium, and I'm just going to use a popsicle stick for all of my mixing and tooling and stuff, and I'm just going to just use that bezel and use my stick to just, you know, get it around in there. Because next I'm going to just put a drop, using my stick here, of the purple in here, and then squeegee it around. That's a technical term. But I'm just going to stir it up and move it around, mostly because I don't want too much paint, and I really want it to go down in those cracks. So I will work with this for a couple minutes here to get enough paint and enough lightning fluid to get the effect that I want. So you see how nicely that paint just sinks to the bottom of my design. And I'm not using a brush because this paint is solvent based, and that would mean I need mineral spirits and all kinds of cleanup that I'm not interested in doing right now. So I'm fine with just using my stick. Okay, so that is really pretty how that all just sinks to the bottom of the design. So I'm going to move on to the next one, and for this one I think I will use just a drop of glitter also. So first some lightning fluid, and then just a little scant touch of this glittery medium. And then we're going to move on to one of these blue colors. This is cobalt blue. Gorgeous. And you see how dark it is, and that's really why I felt I definitely needed, the lightning medium to help it spread and also just help lighten it out. So this is a process. I'm not going to tell you you need how many drops. You have to do like a couple drops at a time and move your paint around until you like how it looks. Mostly I'm concerned with getting it all the way in the design and getting it to fall into all those cracks. And a little bit more glitter, because I really love the Pebeo glitter, how it kind of mixes in with everything else. Makes it really shiny and pretty. And just a touch. Okay, and then if you got any on the edges, this is really easy to wipe off just with your finger or something before it dries. So we'll let that dry and move on to the last color, which is sky blue. Just filling the well here with a couple drops of lightning fluid, and then some of this sky blue color, which is nice and bright and pretty. And then just stir it up and encourage it to fall into the bottom of the design. And these are going to take overnight to dry. So once they're dry, then I'm going to use the technique I'll show you in just a minute here to fill them with resin. And as long as I have my colors all the way around this design, they're just, the color part is going to fall into the design. Okay, so then you can do the same with any of the any of the textured bezel bases that you create, you can just put your different paints, and really what you're looking for in this technique is a translucent paint that will do this thing where the colored part falls deep into the cracks of the texture that you created. Okay? More things. I told you I'd show you how to fill these bezels in case you want to use them instead of making your own. So really you just need some soft clay, and you just need to pinch off a piece that you think will fill the spot. And you don't want to overfill it, you just want it to be full. So you're going to make sure that you roll it up so there are no cracks. And then what I do is I press it in the middle and I hold it there while I go to the edges with all my fingers, because you just want to make sure that you're pressing it down into the edges that are raised. And then my preference with this bezel thing is to bake right in there, and then after they're baked, these are all baked, pop them out. Because if you try now to get this out and bake it, I think it's tough. It's tough to get it out without distorting the shape. See what happens? So I prefer to just go ahead and bake right in the sheet. And then I told you we'd have a little fun with one that's ready to go, and I want to put some resin in it. So first I am going to use pigment ink on the design to highlight it. And just use your finger, don't be afraid to get dirty. And then you want to use your heat gun real quick to set that ink. My favorite way to do this is with Magic Gloss, dimensional gloss. Pabio has a great glazing resin that's wonderful and beautiful, but it takes too long to dry for my purposes doing a video. So this stuff is UV resin, and all you have to do is squeeze it out, let it fill your area, and either put it under a lamp or put it in the sunlight, and it dries instantly. Not instantly. It takes about 15 minutes. I lied. I don't want to lie. It's about a 15-minute cure, but you're going to want to push it out to the edges. And it's self-doming, so it will come to the edge and stop, and usually not flow over the edge unless you really overfill. But it's called Magic Gloss, and it is UV curing, which means the sunlight starts to cure it right away. So you don't want to leave your bottle out, and you definitely don't want to work in like a sunny window because it will start curing. But now I'm going to go put this under a lamp, and then in 15 minutes it will be hard, cured, ready to use. Remember I told you could use alcohol inks to create the same kind of look? So I've got alcohol blending solution and some Adirondack ink and stream. And what I'm going to do here is create that translucent look using my ink. So I am going to pour a little of this in here, and then see what happens when you put your inks in, and squish it around. Encourage it to flow down and around into the deep places of the design. And then this dries pretty quick, so I can resin right over the top of it and get the same kind of effect that I'm going to get with these vitrail paints, but in a more instant situation. So here they are finished after 15 minutes or so in my UV lamp. So we have the one that was decorated with ink, and then domed up with that pretty resin. And then this is the one that has the alcohol ink, the liquid alcohol ink in it. So this was pigment ink versus liquid alcohol ink. So I hope you enjoyed today's quick technique, and come back next time and check out what's happening at Polymer Clay TV.